Let's get now to our top story out of Libya, as the head of the UN-recognized government, Faiz al-Sarraj, and his rival strongman Khalifa Haftar are expected to sign a ceasefire agreement in Moscow today. Libya's head of High Council of State said the signing of the pact will revive the political process in the country. Khalid al-Menshri said he will accompany Sarraj to Moscow, while Parliament Speaker Al-Ghayla Salah will travel with Haftar. In a televised speech, Sarraj called on Libyans to forget the past, reject discord, and close ranks to move towards stability and peace. The ceasefire in Libya began on Sunday in line with a joint call by Turkey and Russia. Libya has been split into rival Eastern and Western administrations since 2014. President Donald Trump of the U.S. has said he does not care if Iran agrees to negotiate with Washington. In a tweet, he said what is really important is that Tehran has no nuclear weapons and no protesters are harmed in the country. Earlier, National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien said America's maximum pressure campaign is working to bring Iran to the negotiating table. Trump has repeatedly expressed support for Iranian protesters and has asked Tehran to allow human rights organizations to monitor protests. Mass protests in Iran are demanding authorities to resign over the Ukrainian airplane tragedy. Tensions in the Middle East have escalated after the U.S. airstrikes which killed Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani on January the 3rd in Baghdad. Lebanon's Hezbollah says it is time for Iran's allies to avenge the killing of Major General Qasem Soleimani. Leader Hassan Nasrallah said the process will follow a long path with the goal of ejecting U.S. forces from the region. Nasrallah also denied the Iranian general had been planning to blow up U.S. embassies. He said U.S. President Donald Trump is lying about the motive behind Soleimani's killing.
In order to give an excuse, he said that he ordered the killing of Soleimani because he was planning to attack U.S. embassies in the region. Liar. He is lying to his people. He is the biggest liar in American history.
In Tehran, Pakistan's Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi has met Iran's President Hassan Rouhani and has discussed the regional situation with him. During that meeting, Qureshi stressed the need to solve the crisis in the Middle East through diplomatic channels. He reiterated that Pakistan will not become a party to any regional conflict and would continue to play its role for peace in the region. The foreign minister said Pakistan attaches great importance to its ties with Iran. Qureshi thanked Iran for supporting Pakistan on the Kashmir issue. President Rouhani lauded Pakistan's efforts to de-escalate tensions in the region. Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has warned that any military confrontation with Iran will impact global peace. Abe is on a 5-day visit to the Middle East, hoping to ease tensions spiked by the U.S. killing of Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani. After meeting with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, Abe called on all parties to engage in diplomatic efforts to defuse tensions. Japan's Foreign Ministry spokesman Masato Otaka said both leaders also agreed to work closely on maritime security in the region. However, he said Japan will not join the U.S.-led coalition in the region. The Prime Minister's tour will also include visits to the United Arab Emirates and Oman. Now, Britain, France, and Germany have called on Iran to stick to the 2015 nuclear deal with world powers. In a joint statement, the leaders of the top EU nations also stressed on Iran to refrain from further violence. They urged Iran to reverse all measures inconsistent with the pact and to return to full compliance. They said EU countries are ready to engage with Iran to preserve the region's stability. Now, the Iraqi military has said 4 of its soldiers have been injured after 8 rockets hit an airbase north of Baghdad. Al-Balad Air Base also houses U.S. troops, although some are believed to have departed amid security concerns during the last 2 weeks. It remains unclear who carried out the attack. Al-Balad is the main airbase for Iraq's F-16s, which it bought from the U.S. to upgrade its air capacities. The Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has said he will seek justice for victims of the Ukrainian airplane disaster. Trudeau spoke in Edmonton, Alberta at a vigil for 57 Canadians killed in the disaster. Mourners placed black-rimmed photos of the dead on the stage beside rose petals, candles, and plates of dates. Trudeau consoled the grievers, saying he will not rest until there are answers.
We will continue to work with our partners to ensure that a full, transparent investigation is conducted. I want to assure all families and all Canadians we will not rest until there are answers. We will not rest until there is justice and accountability.
Well, on Wednesday, Iran said it mistakenly shot down the Ukrainian airliner, killing all 176 people on board. This is one of the biggest single losses of life Canada has suffered in 40 years. Let's move on now. The U.S. has reached out to North Korea to resume diplomatic negotiations in Stockholm after the two countries broke off talks in October. White House National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien said the U.S. has used multiple channels to communicate with North Korea. He said Washington wants to implement Chairman Kim's commitment to denuclearize the Korean peninsula. O'Brien said it was a positive sign that the North Korean leader did not deliver on his warning of a Christmas gift. Last week, Pyongyang said it will not discuss proposals like those made by Trump at the Hanoi summit in February 2019. The longest mass transport strike in modern French history has entered its 40th day. This comes despite the French government's offer of major concessions to unions. The hardline CGT union, which wants the reforms dropped altogether, rejected the offer and called on workers to continue protesting. Demonstrators in Paris, masked and hooded, broke shop windows, set fires, and threw projectiles at police in riot gear. Last week, Prime Minister Edouard Philippe offered to withdraw the most contentious measure of the pension reform plans. Philippe aims to present the reform bill on January 24th so that it can be discussed in Parliament starting in mid-February. Let's move on to India now, where the all-women's sit-in against the controversial citizenship law in the capital, New Delhi, has completed 1 month. Demonstrators have refused to leave Shaheen Bagh until the government withdraws the new act. Indian Congress leader Shashi Tharoor addressed the sit-in, saying the women's resistance is legendary. Meanwhile, BJP leader Dilip Ghosh said protesters should be shot directly for damaging public property. In another incident, Indian police arrested 80 protesters for waving black flags at Home Minister Amit Shah in Madhya Pradesh. 27 people have been killed in the countrywide protests against the Citizenship Act, considered discriminatory to Muslim minorities. Now, the Philippines is on high alert after Luzon Island's Taal volcano started spewing ash and lava. Officials say the region faced a series of earthquakes and streets surrounding the volcano were coated in fine grit. They say at least 10,000 people have sought refuge in evacuation centers. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology raised the alert level from 3 to 4 out of a maximum of 5. Situated in the middle of a lake, Taal is one of the world's smallest but Philippines' second most active volcano. Authorities have warned there was a risk an eruption could cause a tsunami in the lake. Onto Australia's southeast coast now, where conditions have improved slightly over the weekend, but wildfires have burnt over 8.6 million hectares of land already. The region is still choking on thick smoke, and an evacuation is underway. An economy that depends on tourism is expected to suffer.
Dead birds and burnt leaves lay scattered across the sands of the once picturesque fishing village of Eden in New South Wales. Businesses usually boom at this time of the year, with tourists flocking to the beaches in the summer season. This year, the wildfires have significantly cut the number of sun seekers in the area. Residents are wondering how they will make it through the rest of the year. News agency owner Lynn Baxter, 55, spent all her life in Eden and owned her business for 12 years.
Down 85 to 90% at the moment due to what's happened around the area. Yep. The tourists have had to leave. They evacuated the tourists. That was our income.
She's not the only one who has suffered. Antique shop owner Eric Wolski has experienced a slump in sales.
Well, compared to last year, this time, business obviously is down. We've had 2 cruise ships cancelled just in the period between New Year's Eve and today.
Wolski believes not all hope is lost, but all he can do now is wait for the visitors to return.
The news continues after this break. Stay tuned. Let's begin this segment of the Bulletin in Germany, where the historic island of Helgoland that was once used as a practice bombing site for British airmen after World War II has now turned into a nursery for North Sea seals, attracting a number of tourists and photographers. This report will tell you more.
Around 1,000 of the animals flock to this archipelago in the North Sea for the birthing season between November and January. But it's the newborn seal pups who are the true stars of the show.
They are so close, so alive. I often see them on television, but it's even more exciting here.
For safety, tourists and photographers are asked to stay 30 metres away from the animals, who can weigh up to 300 kilos when they reach adulthood and have been known to bite if they feel threatened. Keeping an eye on both the seals and their observers are volunteers from the Jordsand Association and 2 rangers employed by Heligoland's town hall.
Sometimes tourists forget their limits and get too close. This has negative consequences in the summer because the seals get used to people. They'll want to play in the water and they can injure swimmers.
To keep excited tourists from getting too close, especially during birthing season, wooden boardwalks have been created. For now, the populations are manageable, even if sometimes a cheeky youngster makes its way beyond the barriers. But some fear a rise in water temperatures and levels could lead to greater seal numbers, leaving less space for both seals and enthusiastic tourists.
There are more and more of them, and I think it's because there's lots of food here. But we're at sea level here, and if the water levels increase, we'll probably have new challenges to face.
The Jordsand Association says there have been more than 520 births since November. Once weaned, the baby seals will head to the water of the North Sea, but they will return in spring to change their fur, much to the delight of photographers and wildlife observers.
In South Korea, firms are experimenting with advanced artificial intelligence techniques in the hiring process for whittling down applicant lists. According to the Korea Economic Research Institute, a quarter of 131 top corporations are using AI in hiring. Watch this report now about how job seekers are trying to beat the robots during interviews.
안녕하세요. 만나서 반갑습니다.
Sitting in front of a computer and speaking into a microphone, 22-year-old student Kim Seok-woo is practicing for a job interview. It's not a person he's speaking to, but an artificial intelligence computer. With less than 2 minutes to answer before his verbal and facial expressions get analyzed, Kim is visibly nervous and fidgeting.
When you prepare for a job interview, people know how to get a high score or make themselves seem positive. You can't really do that for AI interviews. As a job seeker, I think I'll feel hopeless if AI interview is made popular and the majorities of the company use them.
After the introduction, AI hiring also uses gamification to gauge a candidate's adaptability by putting them through a sequence of tests.
We check their subconscious behavior. We believe actual performance or competency of the applicants cannot be properly assessed when they are deliberately thinking, responding, and acting during interviews. We want to see how the applicants subconsciously react and deal with situations.
Job seekers are displeased with the step, calling it an additional hurdle in their career path.
In business news, stock markets across Asia are trading higher as investors await the signing of a Phase 1 trade deal between the U.S. and China. Investors are leading a fresh rally as Asian stocks touched a 19-month high. Seoul's Kospi is trading nearly 1% higher as cosmetic stocks made significant gains. Hong Kong's Hang Seng has also gained, nearly 1%. Tech stocks led the gains as Lenovo stocks surged nearly 3%, while gaming company Razer shares shot up almost 10%. The Shanghai Composite is trading fractionally higher as investors in China look forward to trade and economic growth data due this week. Fourteen people have been killed as heavy rain and snow have wreaked havoc in Pakistan's southwestern Balochistan province. The meteorological department said heavy snowfall in the province's capital, Quetta, has broken a 20-year record. Officials said 6 people, including 3 women and 3 children, died in Job district after their roof collapsed. They said heavy snowfall has also claimed lives in the border town of Chaman, Barshor, and Bustan area of Peshin district. Authorities said hundreds of passengers are stranded on different highways linking Balochistan. Let's now find out what the weather is like around the world. And with that, you're all caught up. Thank you for watching this bulletin here at Indus.